Good evening, everyone. This is Futures Trader coming at you. Wanted to push out a video for you guys just so you can see this new spin on a previous indicator that we released. So as you can see here, this is the SPX option volume indicator that we previously have on our site. We had made some adjustments, and previously we were showing, put volume versus call volume. Now we're able to actually put out bullish versus bearish volume. So what we're looking at here is anything highlighted in this bright green is over a certain tolerance. So we're putting in a tolerance of 10,000 contracts is kind of our baseline. And what bullish versus bearish means is bullish is any calls that were purchased or puts that were sold, and then bearish is the opposite, any puts that were bought or calls that were sold. So what we're doing is we're going actually back through yesterday just to show you kind of what the option volume is showing us. What we were looking at yesterday is we have actually 5 different weekly contracts in there. So this entire week worth of contracts, and then the next 2 Fridays, as well as the next 2 quarterly dates. So this is taking to basically a lot of the near-term option contracts that are coming in. Okay. So basically what we're looking at yesterday, we had that huge rally in the morning. As you can see right off the bell, we have 23,000 plus total bullish option volume here. You can see it right here. So if you see where my cursor is and then up a little bit to the right, kind of in this area is where the volume is going to show. So as you can see here, we have 23,768 different contracts netted out to be bullish at that period of time. We don't recommend taking trades on the open. It's just typically not a good idea. But as you can see here, we do have, you know, option volume building up. So what we like to do is say, hey, we see option volume kind of trending in a certain direction. It's a good indication that there's some force behind it, and we can usually expect the underlying security to follow in those footsteps of that trend. So as you can see here, we have about 1,700 option volume, and then boom, it explodes up to 12,000, almost 13,000. And so we get in right here. And so typically when we trade this, we look at to get in at the close. So I think this box might be off a little bit, but if you went in at the close here, set your stop loss to the bottom of the previous bar prior to this option volume surge bar. And so if you would basically have your stop loss right around here. You get in at the close, which would be the open of the next bar. And as you can see, we're able to, if you obviously, ideally, if you put it at the top where we start getting kind of that bearish option volume, kind of a change in trend direction for option volume, it's about 17 and a half. So I need to update this. And there was actually 17 and a half points that we had here. Let's zoom back in on yesterday. Okay, so about 17 and a half point run from here to here. And that's starting from the close of this bullish bar here. So we go close all the way up to the high. Ideally you'd hit, and it's around 17 and a half, 18 points. Okay. And then as you can see afterwards, kind of that trend kind of goes in the opposite direction, right? So this bullish volume drops below kind of our tolerance for what we call an option volume surge or spike, and it starts trending in the opposite direction, right? Even including this bar, like we have lower volume, right, all the way down, and then we completely reverse. So this is knowing that, hey, in this area, this is actually a good bar to take off any exposure, because we have a surge or a spike in the opposite direction, right? We have this 10,000 bearish volume bar come in. So chances are the tides are turning, and maybe this rally is kind of seeing its last legs, right? Then we see a green, another option surge. We typically don't recommend, going from like positive to, negative sentiment like immediately. As we know, I think most of our traders, with the experience comes that, typically you don't rally and then completely fall out immediately, right? There's kind of a consolidation or some sort of, gradual to it, gradual movement, right? As you can kind of see that here, right? We kind of gradually build down. We have some consolidation, like we mentioned, and then once again, we kind of see this option volume building, right? It's building in a bearish direction. First we hit 5,000, then we go to almost 10,000. We almost hit our limit here on this one. So this is really close to being a trigger bar. It also has hit this VWAP, which is this middle line. So it's definitely nice to see this kind of surge through the VWAP, this conviction move, along with a surge in option volume. So 17,000 plus contracts, trading in a negative manner here. And so if you entered right here in the close of this bar, and then took it down. Once again, we actually have a complete reversal, right? You see this option surge down here that goes, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way down to this highly negative, negative 21,000, and then a reversal to this green bar here. We get a positive 10,000 plus. So this is a good time to take off exposure. If you went, happen to get it all the way down here, you would see, it's around 20 to 21 points in movement for the S&P. So obviously, even if you came back up here for the close, that's still 12 and a half points. Not a bad haul for a couple trades. All right. Um, and then for our next ones, you see this kind of tied up in the chop. This is still a lot of consolidation. Like we mentioned before, you don't want to take another kind of positive move or even a negative move like shortly thereafter without some conviction. And considering this bar, these two bars, yes, we see an increase. We do have that trend of kind of downward momentum going from positive to negative or from bullish to bearish momentum and option volume here. You also don't see it in the price action, right? If this is very bullish, right? If you're saying, hey, we had this huge bearish option, we had this huge push, from this high of, uh, all-time high all the way down, this went down from 4740 all the way down to almost 4700, 45 points in a matter of a couple hours. This is pretty bearish, right? So we don't want to reverse this. We see this as a bullish move to kind of push and hold off of this second deviation of the VWAP. But anyways, it's not a good idea to kind of take these moves that are within this range, right? This is still kind of consolidation here, and we haven't actually moved past this range. So price action is definitely a factor when you're looking at this option volume. You speak to a lot of traders, you can't really take any indicator, in a vacuum. You have to take into consideration other factors. So moving on, we kind of get this late day surge, around 3:30 in the afternoon. You see we break under the 200-day moving average, break under the the first standard deviation VWAP with this strongly bearish bar, and as you can see, kind of that trend, right, trending down. This is all bearish. This is trending up. Kind of see some hesitation here, and then we see some aggressive selling and a huge aggressive selling bar coupled with option volume here, all trending in one direction. See, we break this. So once again, we would take this trade at the close, take it down until we see kind of a reversal. So we might actually close down here. This is kind of the point of control. We use volume profile as well here to kind of keep our eyes on where we could expect a pivot or a reversion, a mean reversion trade. So as you can see, as this volume comes back up, this is probably a good place to kind of close out your order, which is right around 26 points. If you did hold it to the low, you would hit that 31 and 3/4 points that we're notating right here. But once again, another solid trade indicated by option volume. So moving on, we'll go to today. So today is the 24th. Not as much option volume activity today. Yesterday was a lot of, a big day, a lot of activity going on. So you typically don't see huge back-to-back days like that unless there's some, underlying issues going on in the market. Um, Once again, 9:30 rolls around, get this hugely negative bar. Like I said before, typically don't recommend trading that first bar because it could be there's a lot of head fakes that come into play. Um, But you do see kind of this trend reversal, right? It goes from hugely negative to hugely positive, hit that reversal, um, and we break above this 50-day moving average. So if you took it from the close of this bar all the way to kind of this trend reversal where it goes from positive to negative, and we also have this kind of resistance line that we were following from previous days, we get about 21 and a quarter points, right? So not a bad move at the beginning of the day. Um, and then as you can see, we start trending in the opposite direction, right? And this isn't like a quick reversal. This is over the course of what, 30, 40, almost an hour for when we got this bar to initiate to this huge aggressive selling here. So as we mentioned, we would enter here on the close, set our stop loss up top here, and as you can see, a nice little move downward to kind of finish at the low of the day, about 24 and a half points below. So another solid trade right there. And then as you can see, option volume for the rest of the day was kind of small, nothing too crazy going on. But just wanted to show you guys some examples, show you exactly how this new indicator works, show you how we use it to trade and how it helps us inform our decisions when we trade throughout the day. Please, if you have any questions, any comments, leave them below. And please like and subscribe if you like this indicator and you want to see more. All right, everyone have a good night.